Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for our next session, GitHub Skills. Learn about GitHub within GitHub. My name is Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenter to answer. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our speaker today. Ari, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, good morning, good day, wherever you are. Good night, good evening, I mean. Welcome to GitHub Skills, where you can learn about GitHub within GitHub. My name is Ari Lavigny. I'm a learning evangelist at GitHub. I am going to be covering several different topics. Obviously, the most important will be the walkthrough of GitHub Skills, but I'm sure everyone's also waiting for a voucher at the end of my session, which we'll provide. So with that, let's get into the presentation to start. What I want to talk about first is our GitHub Learn platform that's going to be launched actually at the end of this month, actually July 1st, it'll be launched. And this is a preview, a little picture, and I'll do a quick walkthrough. I have a kind of staged area where I can show you some of the things that will be available via the GitHub Learn platform. And what our GitHub Learn platform is designed to do is really meet people where they are of how they like to learn. Some people are very visual. Some people like to listen, obviously. What we're trying to do is give different avenues of ways to learn. So the learning platform itself has, Microsoft Learn, where you can take some Microsoft Learn modules to get you ready for certifications. Or maybe it's GitHub Skills, which we'll talk about, and I'll walk through these. These are examples of the skills that we actually have. Today, we have the skills located somewhere else, and I will share that link with you. Hey, from Orlando, San Diego. Good to see everybody joining us. Love it. And this is how you could go through these different GitHub skills to start learning. Or maybe there'll be, we have some Wilco where you can kind of like very conversational and almost like AI-driven learning pathway. And it's really useful if you like learning that way. And you have different projects securing your code base, and there's other ones that we'll show. But this is an example of what the platform will look like. Whether it's a module, e-learning course, we'll have YouTube videos. And then there's obviously different products that we'll focus in on. All of these are related to our certification path. So there's those. And then, free and pricing, like LinkedIn Learning is a paid platform. And you're happy to take those, more than welcome to take those, different skill levels. At some point, we'll also be adding kind of that beginner, intermediate, and advanced skill levels to learn. So just keep in mind that this will be available on July 1st. We'll have events and webinars here, our certifications, which we'll link to. These are the 5 certifications, and that's why everyone's, I'm sure, anticipating the voucher at the end of this. We should have one available to you to share. But these are the different exams. I'm just going to briefly mention too, the foundation exam it's an unproctored exam. So you will be able to kind of have some notes available to look at while you're taking this exam. It's very Git and GitHub focus of the fundamentals and foundations of our product provides, and obviously what Git is able to do as a source control system. And so that's, I think if you're getting into that, into Git and using GitHub, that's a great place to start. And then there are other exams, are proctored exams. As you can see, this nice little comment here about Pearson VUE. So at the end of this month, we're moving into Pearson VUE. So we'll no longer be using PSI. The voucher that we'll be handing out today will be for the PSI system, because we're using up any exams that are available in there. We want people to take advantage of that. So you'll be able to take advantage of that. So with that said, I'm going to hop back here to my presentation. So when it comes to GitHub Skills specifically, which is why most of you or all of you have joined, these are some of the GitHub Skills examples that we have. I am going to do a live walkthrough of a couple of these, one at a very beginning level. And before I forget to, I want to put this link in the, I'll put this in the chat for everyone. Let me see if I could just got to connect here. And let me try that at connect again. We'll use this instead. There we go. Okay, I'm going to paste this in there. Yep. Or actually, I'm gonna give it to Anna and she'll paste it in for us. But here's the skills, github.com. So if you go there now, these are some of the courses that are listed on this slide. But if you come to here, you can see like it's kind of organized right now of if you were starting your first day with using GitHub or your first week, and then maybe you want to get into some more complex type of topics like everyone, the biggest craze right now is Copilot, obviously GitHub Copilot, which is just amazing. As you'll see from the walkthrough that I'll do for our GitHub skills on expanding your team. These are some great courses to take. If you have not used Copilot before, I highly recommend using or running through the getting started with GitHub Copilot. A little bit more about skills and what it offers that maybe some other training platforms offer, or that the fact that it's within GitHub, which I think is pretty cool, is that it's issue-based and it's self-paced, and they're usually skills exercises that you can complete within an hour at most. And that's how we design them specifically. Some of our more advanced ones that we're working on could possibly be longer than that, but right now all of our courses can be done within an hour. So if you have some free time, maybe it's something late at night, you want to just play around with something in GitHub, whether it's Copilot, our platform, or repo management, or security. If maybe you're focused on security, why not take the time, and then you can run through that in a repository, and then you can keep that available to reuse. So with that, let me come back to my slide. Like I said, there's more than just Copilot. So we have the introduction to repo management, the secure your repo supply chain. These are some really good courses and fundamentals and intermediate courses that you can take to really enhance whatever area you're focused in on GitHub, whether it's Copilot or it's repos or organizations, if you're an admin, or maybe security if you're a security engineer. I'm just going to see if I can get one of these codes. I'm just give me 1 second. Okay, now we're ready to go. Yeah, so with that said, let me get into, besides the GitHub Skills platform, which is great, we have a lot of folks ask us, well, these courses are great. I love how the format is. And as you see when I walk through it, it's a really nice, easy platform to use. But how do you engineers create these exercises? We have several members on the team, Alec on our team, who spends a lot of time on basically creating a skills exercise toolkit. And in this toolkit, the repository serves as a comprehensive toolkit for creating and managing GitHub skills exercises, but you can create your own exercise using this yourself. It provides a collection of tools and templates and utilities designed to streamline the process of developing educational content for GitHub skills. A lot of the workflows, so the GitHub actions that you'll see when I do this, you're not going to see, I can show you the actions, but all of that is done via this toolkit on basically walking you through the exercise and the issue that you're going to be opening, or I should say going to be opened for you automatically. And this is really useful that if you wanted to create your own skills exercise, maybe it's something that we haven't thought of, and there's something that you want to create yourself for your own purposes, or maybe for your team or your organization, you can use this, which is pretty cool. We also are working on, and we plan, at least by universe, of having an exercise manager that will allow you to create your own, like in a code space environment, a fully development environment, all the things that you need to create it from scratch as well. So we're working on that. There is one now for us, but we're kind of still working on making it more general for everybody to use. I'm also going to paste this link in then for those template repositories, so you guys don't have to squint and see what's on the screen there. That's a skills exercise. Just going to check one more. Yes, this is awesome. All right, I got what I needed for our voucher code, which is so cool. And so let me just pin this down. Now the other part too, which I find useful, because I find when I start a new exercise, like I want kind of most of the template or the verbiage of like that's consistent with all of our exercises. Very well kind of consistent and formatted. So I use this template that Alec created here, where it basically has a nice crisp layout of like a welcome message. And I can show you this too live for you. But it has like kind of like, here's, you're going to replace your exercise title. Who is this for? Like the target audience, what you'll learn, what you're going to build, any prerequisites. Maybe there's some courses or things that you might want to take in advance. Like what we always say is, if you're taking one of the Copilot courses, you probably make sure you take the Getting Started with Copilot first as a prereq. And there may be some other prereqs aligned with that, obviously. But we definitely want that as like kind of a basis, or maybe it's some beginning courses if you're getting into an intermediate skills exercise as well. So let's see. So that shows that. Also, just if you wanted to see kind of layout of the exercise toolkit again, you can kind of go, it has a lot of the reusable workflows, all our GitHub actions to start finding exercises, the markdown templates. So I think these are really useful. I'll copy and paste this into the chat as well, or say, Anna will do this for me. I appreciate it. That covers kind of I would say the framework of what I wanted to show for, before we get into the actual skills exercise. And now we'll do a live walkthrough. So I'm going to be just like anybody here on this call, and I'm going to walk through one of our exercises. I'll go to a very beginning. What I'm going to show is kind of a first day beginning GitHub Pages one, and then I'll jump into a Copilot expand your team, which is pretty awesome. What we've released here for the coding agent. I think you guys will find it exciting if you haven't already seen it. It was announced in Microsoft Build, and it's just amazing what we're building here at GitHub. It's really cool stuff. So when you first come to GitHub Pages, so you can go to this, and I'll paste this in too. So if you guys wanted to maybe follow along, you're happy to do that. But what you would do at this point is you come down, it gives you that kind of welcome, says who's it's for, maybe some prerequisites. Maybe you want to take an introduction to GitHub first before you jump into Pages. I chose GitHub Pages for us to walk through because a lot of folks, you don't have to be a developer, right? If you want to create maybe a blog or a web page and you wanted to use GitHub to do it, this is a really great exercise to walk you through that, of creating GitHub Pages that will allow you to do a blog. So it also tells you what you're going to learn in this exercise, configure your site. And I guess the idea here is, right, is this is in the skills org where all of our exercises live, but you really want to create this in your own. So I'm going to, I guess actually I'll just click this. You want to create this in your GitHub handle. So what it's going to do is it's going to come up for you to create a new repository, basically a template off of the skills exercise repository that I just showed you. I'm going to put it in my handle. You can also put it in another organization that you maybe you want to share with others, or you want it in that organization for whatever reason. That's perfectly fine. It's going to come up with a default name. So it's going to preempt everything in any of our exercises by default with skills. And and then it'll just do dash and what the name of that exercise is. I'm going to accept that name as default. It's going to give a description here. You could add your own. You can make it private if you want to. I usually leave mine public. Then you can share it with others and share your success when you complete the skills exercise, which I think is nice to show others what you've been up to. Maybe it's your manager, you want to show what you've been digging into, and they can also maybe take it for a spin as well. So pretty cool stuff. And then I'm going to go create repository. So now, as you see, it has the name GitHub Pages. It has the skills preamble here as the in front of it, and then it's under my handle. Everything right now looks identical to what we just saw, but if you were to wait some time, or you could refresh, we'll see that it's going to change once the actions are running. And here we are. Took a couple refreshes or waiting time. Not too long though. So now I'm ready to actually start this exercise, and I'm going to click this. Just going to check one thing here. Sorry, alrighty. And with that said, I'm going to click this, which is going to take me to a GitHub issue that's been open for me. So this is our awesome GitHub actions and part of that exercise toolkit that I just spoke about, that Alec put together and spent a lot of time on fine tuning for us to make sure it's pretty consistent across the board of our actions. Like if you really wanted to dig in here, you could see all the actions that are running behind the scenes. They're all in the workflows directory, as most actions are. And the different steps. And you could also, if you ever wanted to look at what actions ran, you can go look directly at it. So not only are you taking the exercise, but you can kind of see what's creating and running you through the exercise as you go, if you wanted to peek behind the curtain. So I think that's also a pretty cool part of what GitHub Skills has to offer there. So I'll go back to our issue that's been open for me, and I'll go look at my first task. GitHub Pages lets you turn your repository into a website. This is a great way to share your project, resume portfolio documentation, or even a blog, which we'll do some examples of that as well. And so then we come to our first activity. So we'll open the repository in a new browser tab so you can work on the steps. Under your repository settings, you're going to want to do pages, code, and automation. So what I'll do is I'm going to leave this open, and I'm actually going to right click on the code tab. This is how I work. Everyone's different. You could also put them side to side. However you feel best works for you, please do so, because we want it. We want you to work the way that you're used to working without taking you out of that. But this is how I work. So now I have the repo here. Per the instructions, as I go down, it's telling me that I need to do some settings here in the repo. I need to click pages and code automation. I'm going to deploy from a branch from the source drop-down menu, and then select main. That's my main branch, my default branch. So I'll do that. We'll go to settings, and we'll come down to pages. We'll say deploy from branch is set. We're good there. We'll say main as our default. We'll save that for the root. And then we're good to go. Obviously, there's some other things you can do to really make this. You can force HTTPS. You can, for GitHub Enterprise, for visibility, you can do things. And maybe you have a custom domain that you want to use. You could do that as well. Obviously, I'm using this one that was given to me right now, and that's fine. So now that we're done there, I'm going to go back to code, because I think I've set, per the instructions, everything I need to do. So now, once that's been done, we'll wait, again, GitHub action running in the background to then let us know, like, are we ready for the next step? We'll wait for that to refresh. I think I saved, let me just make sure that's saved to, I'm pretty sure I saved it. Oh, yeah, it's saved. Good, good, good. And boom, we have our next step, an next set of activities to run through, or one activity in this case. Sometimes there's more than one. you can see the link in your website at the top of your pages section of your repository settings. You may need to refresh it. So if we were to come down here to the pages, we can see that it was deployed. If I was to bring it up, it just tells me about the deployment. And this is my page right now as it sits. And that's fine. Now we probably want to browse to the index file in the main branch. In the upper right corner, we'll open up the editor. I'm just talking through the directions before I go do it so you understand what's happening. Type the content that you want on the home page. You can do markdown formatting. You can also modify the title or leave it as is. Commit your changes, and then we should also then be alerted to something else. So let's do that. Let's go to the index.md. I'm going to open up that edit this file. I'm going to change the title to welcome to the Reactor. Reactor series blog. I'll put I'll say Reactor series GitHub skills. And then maybe we'll put learn about GitHub within and then maybe one this session is about learning to use GitHub skills. I'll say issue-based self-paced GitHub techniques and tricks. And I will then commit those nice little brief changes that I wrote. I could write a description here, opening or initial commit to introduce the Reactor series on GitHub skills. Obviously, you don't have to put one in. I like to try to put commit messages as much as possible. So now we have that. This should then have triggered also at the same time a deployment, I would believe. So now we'll also wait for the action to run to tell us what our next step is, because we've done this part now. We changed the title. We also, I like to point out at each one of these steps, if you have any issues, there's usually a troubleshooting help there that will enable you to maybe get by whatever problem you're having. Not say it will fix everything, but some good tips and tricks as you go through the different skills exercises, which it looks like we did. We were successful with that. If we wanted to take maybe a quick look, like this is what we changed in the index. If I was to do a refresh, boom, we have, it was automatically as we committed that, we got to deploy our change to the GitHub pages. So now we have our configure your site. So we'll look at the config YAML in the upper right hand corner. So if you wanted to learn also a little bit more, we're really good at adding kind of a theory or more information of like, well, great, you have this config file, but why are you changing it? What is it? What is its purpose? What does it provide to us? So Jekyll uses a file title. Jekyll uses this file to store those settings for your site, your theme, any reusable content like your site title and GitHub handle and those types of things, which you can set up in the config. So we're going to also open up that file, which is right here. And let's read through. So in the upper right corner, we'll open up the editor as we did before. We'll add a theme. We're going to use this minima theme. So the other thing we like to provide in our GitHub skills so that you don't have to retype. And then obviously, as we all do, as you saw me typing, I had some mistakes in there. We like to provide people the ability to copy without having to retype everything from scratch where we can, or something that's not something you need to learn, but something that you just need to put in. So we can then go to this config and we can edit this file and we can keep that there. let's just read and make sure we covered all the bases. You can modify other configurations like the title, author, description to further customize. And we also provided nice examples for you. So here's an example of that. So maybe I want to put this, I can take this as well, and I'll put that in to even make it a little bit more, put some more information in that config for us. This is a blog about GitHub skills that we did in there. I'm the author. I can call a personal blog. I'll leave that alone. And I'll then commit my changes. Updated the Jekyll config. Oops. For our website. I think I might have misspelled that, but that's okay. Yep. So we committed those to the main branch. And some of our skills exercises, you may commit to the main branch, you may not. It's all good. So the other cool thing is we passed this step. Looks for a minimum theme. We did that. And now nice work. And then we'll wait to prepare for the next step and see what we have. And boom, oops, I refreshed before it popped up. So we can see that. So now we can do something where maybe we want to add a date to this blog here in the post directory. This is what we're going to put in there with the date. So we'll add the file. I'm going to basically, I'll take this for now. I'm going to copy this and go to the root of my directory. I'm going to say add file. I'm going to do that. It's going to create the post directory for me. I'll take the date of 2025, and today is 06, and I'm going to call it Reactor Series Blog. Sure, sounds good. And then we'll do that. And we can then edit. It will give, I guess, make sure that you have this in the date and change the title. It's also giving you some tips or gotchas that you may run into as you go. I'll just copy this for now and I'll edit as I come in here. And I'll call this Reactor Series GitHub Skills Event. And I'll put the date. I'll actually just copy and paste from up here. Oops. There we go. And we'll commit those changes. Added my first blog entry. And I'll commit that in there. Oops, something happened here. Did I not? Oh, let's redo that. I guess I must have jumped the gun on something here in the file name. All right. And then I'll come back and just recopy that again. And I'll put the title. I think that's, oh, there we go. Let's see if that's, doesn't like 06, 10. That's probably why. And I'll put Reactor again. And let's see, that looks good there. Let's just make sure that we don't have anything screwed up in our title. Maybe that's why. That's much more better. Interesting. So it looks like we created this twice. That's okay. I guess I didn't have the slash in there correctly when I first did it. So as we come down here, we actually created our first blog entry. Oops. Don't want that up. If I was to do a refresh here, we should now see some more information of my first blog. So it populated the web page. And if we look at our exercise, we completed this one, which is great because it gives us time for our next exercise. But what I want to point out is in the review, and we're going to keep enhancing what we provide here in the review. So more than just like other courses, next courses you can take. You can read the docs on the GitHub pages. You want to go take another exercise, which will probably just link you back to skills, I believe. Yep, it takes you right back to skills. If there's any like a recap on you enabled pages. So it gives you a nice summary of what you did. And the other cool thing is now you have this issue that is in this repository for yourself that maybe you want to reference later on or come back to. You're able to do that. It also gives a nice little congratulations. In the near future, I know this skills exercise doesn't have it, but Alec, again, has spent a lot of great time on adding some social media where you can promote this, maybe on LinkedIn or Twitter or those types of things. So he's working on that. He's always working on cool enhancements. He's pretty amazing dude that helps keep the engine running for skills and adding new skills, coming up with new ideas. We also try to, where possible, like in a lot of the Copilot ones, we try to keep them like on the same kind of theme. And I'll talk about that when I get to the next skill. So if there's no questions, let me check if there's any comments. Yeah, it is cool learning about doing it yourself. Yeah, I did miss the post. Thank you. So that's why that was there. So I can always clean that up too if I wanted to after the fact. But thank you, Alex. Alex is on well, giving me that. He's pointing out my errors. But any other questions? Can the whole GH page, including config, be moved to a subdirectory so that it can be easily excluded from Maven packages? The answer to that is you probably can do that. I think the config itself has to sit there for Jekyll to read that. So that probably has to sit in that directory. But you could always probably exclude it in another way. We'll get into the certifications after apply. How Microsoft Reactor, how certification discounts applied. Yeah, we'll definitely at the very end, I'll leave time for us to talk about this applying the certification. We have a slide for that. So it'll explain like all the good things that you can do there. And let's see, anything else that popped up more about redeeming your discount. Yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, a lot of questions about certifications and applying the code. I promise all will be made clear after I go through the next exercise, but let's do that actually. So let me come back to skills. I'm going to go to this skill. This one is one of our new ones that Chris on our team worked on and was released right when it came out at Microsoft Build for the keynote. So if you know anything about Coding Agent, this really dives into that and different aspects of it. So let's get into this one since we have about 24 or 5 minutes left. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to copy the exercise. Now, in this case, I already did this exercise, so I already have a skills expand, but that's okay. I'm going to add, all I have to do then, if I want to then keep the one I already had, I can just do like add something else to it. And now my name's good to go. And I can dive into this course. and then I'll create that repository. So the flow of all of our skills exercises, you can see, is pretty much the same, and they work. Obviously, we're tackling different topics in each one of them, but the flow is the same. There's steps, activities, the actions are running in the background. That's why we have the exercise toolkit to help promote that. Again, we have a welcome with who is this for. You probably want to take an introduction to GitHub if you haven't done that before getting into this, and maybe getting started with GitHub Copilot as a prerequisite. So these are some of the things that you may want to consider before diving into this one, which is perfectly fine. And then again, we'll wait for the refresh, or I can refresh and maybe by now it's already, yep. So I waited long enough as I was reading through that we're ready to go with this exercise, which again, we'll go to our issue that's been open for us, and we'll have our first step and ready to go to enable the agent. Enabling the agent here, like I said, we try to put a theme behind our different skills exercises. This is kind of a fictitious high school that we're building this for extracurricular activities, Emergington High School. And it kind of gives you a backstory on this fact. The site has become a regular school tool now, although you might like that attention. You just realized the problem. You're about to go on a sabbatical next semester. After some discussion with the principal, has accepted that new features will be postponed, but he is worried they need to be need to at least have something for handling simple changes while you're away. So this is where we're going to leverage our coding agent as an expansion of our team to help us out with that. So it gives you kind of a great backstory. It also talks about the different features that are available in the editor and in the coding agent, that this is for issues and pull requests, for the code editor, repository local file. So different things to keep in mind. If MCP support is there, the model context protocol, if you haven't used that, we have a course on that too, a skills exercise on that to walk through, which I showed briefly in the slide. And then we get into a nice also diagram of like, what is the coding agent and how does it work? We can zoom in on that as well, but the idea is you contribute, you open up an issue, you assign it to Copilot, it then does its magic, and what it's doing is it opens up a pull request for you, and then it starts to work on that. And we're going to show that live now as we walk through this. So first off, we have to go to our settings here. Oh, that's my wrong place. Yeah, we go here, settings. Oops, sorry about that. I'm going to open that new tab just so I can then close it afterwards. And I'm going to go down to Copilot, coding agent. I have turned it on for all my repositories, but the idea in this lesson here is that you want to make sure that you turn this on, that you turn this on at least for this repository. But in my case, I turned it on for all of them. You can select which repositories you want to, and that's what these instructions are showing you. I selected all, but you could select just this one to work on it here for yourself. There's also, I don't want to skip this, there's an optional step here. If you wanted to actually open up the application in a code space, which is a fully development environment where you could play around yourself with the application, this fictitious extracurricular activities application. And you can do that in there. I'm not going to take the time to do that here, but you would just basically right click on this and create a code space. And you know what? I'll kick it off at least to open it up, and we can show what that looks like after while it creates itself. We don't need to spend time on it. So I'm going to close this, come back to my exercise. And then I'm going to assign Copilot an issue. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is create a new issue with this title and this description. So I'll come up again. Actually, you know what? I'll copy the title first, at least to start. I have this open. This is the coding, the code space that's opening. And I will open up another tab for our issue here. I'll bring this back. Let's come down so we have our nice instructions in front of us as well. Mona's waiting for us to complete our next step. The action will be monitoring our changes here, really for this issue to be created. So This is our issue. We're going to create a new one. I'm going to put that title in that I just copied. Again, we try to provide you as much of the info so you don't have to copy and paste yourself. I should say you don't have to type it out yourself. You can just copy and paste it. And then we'll put the description in here. So the Manga Club was recently announced and is naturally missing from the website, which we need to add them to the website. Here are the details, the description, the schedule of when there'll be when it will happen, and what the max of the number of attendees, which is 15 people. So here's the objective, the issue that we want to then assign. So before I do that, before I create it, I'm going to assign to Copilot. That's our coding agent here, which is our AI pair programmer. Now that's assigned. I'm going to create this issue. And now in the background, GitHub Copilot will, our coding agent will go work on it for us. And as you can see, it already opened up this PR. So I know I have a lot of tabs open. That's okay. Now there's no files yet, but it's already worked with a title for missing activity, the Manga Maniacs, the work in progress. It's a draft of this PR, this pull request for us. As we look down, some of the cool things you can notice to learn about Coding Agent, if you don't already know, is that you can view the session. And this is a similar, if you were to open up, like we have this code space that has all of our development environment set up for us. I'll just make this a little bigger so it's a little clearer to see. This is a fully fledged VS Code development environment in a code space. It has all of the requirements for this skills exercise. So if you wanted to actually, work through the code here, you could do that. The source code is here. You could look at it yourself. I'm pretty sure there's also a way to run it. So if you wanted to, we could actually run it ourselves in the code space and it would pop up once it was started running if we wanted to. Should see a little pop up here in a sec. Yep. And now the same little window of application that you saw before, the picture in our exercise that we had up above. I think it's at the very top. Yeah, that's what we're looking at now live in our code space. So that's a nice little, like, it's not just like you're walking through these steps in here. You can see the actual application and make your own changes if you wanted to. We already kind of succeeded in this step that we opened up this session. I should say we opened up this PR. I should say Copilot Coding Agent opened up this PR for us. I'm going to close this just to clear up some space. But again, this is what the coding agent is doing right now. It's been taking about 2 minutes, and it's walked through working on this task for us. As far as we're concerned here, we can obviously go do other things, work on other tasks or whatever we want to do. And as far as the exercise is concerned, we have actually succeeded in completing that part of at least triggering our coding agent and starting on a PR for us. When Copilot creates a pull request, it does a pull request description, a timeline, the session history, which you can get. You can provide feedback and comments. So that's actually what we'll probably do here once this gets created. This is what we just looked at here, a session that Copilot is doing to create and make this enhancement to add the maniacs to our activities board. And so we'll wait for that to happen. Let's see where it's at. It also gives an update in the progress, the initial assessment, plan to add Manga Maniacs activity. It's already checked off these install dependencies and now it's working through the list. Obviously, this outside of GitHub Skills Exercises, this works for any of, if you're using Coding Agent for any of your projects, same thing, you would see the same session. And Copilot's working for us. If we do run out of time, luckily, that's why I kept the other repository around that I can kind of talk through it in case Copilot does take some time. obviously to work through it just as we would, to go off and add that, that ability. Can you hold pages? Got you. Let's see how we're doing here in our, this is open. I'm going to go back from our session, see if we have anything yet. Again, like I said, it gives a nice breakdown too of what the activities, or what I should say, what the tasks are that it's going to work on and where it's completed. So as you can see right now, it's updated and completed the first 3 tasks, but it also identified these 4 that also have to be done. It says it's ready to review. The other thing too is if you wanted to also add Copilot as a reviewer, not just the coding agent that created it, you could request there if you wanted to. Let's see where we're at in the session. I think 1 minute or so, we should have something created for us. Again, you can walk through the session and see what's been done so far. Looks like we're getting close here, as you can see. Looks like we added it. And this is all good. Love it. So let's go back to our, looks like we should have a file here for us. Yep. So at this point, we have a file created. This is the file, the added Manga Maniacs, with our entry of the 7 p.m., the 15 max users, participants. This is what we wanted to get. Thank you, coding agent, for doing this for us, so we didn't have to do it. And as we come down, we can say, okay, we can go back to that pull request now. We don't have to just close it out or say like, you're good, you did everything you wanted to. If we're not happy with it, we can say, we just showed the new entry. And I can add a comment in there to have Copilot now work on this part and say, leave a comment, paste that in there. Please change the description to be inspired by Japanese manga. It needs to be more, needs more personality to attract students. So, and then we'll click start review. And then we'll say, I think it tells us to finish review, start review, and then finish your review, submit review. Let's do that. Yep. Submit review. So we'll leave that comment for it. We're not approving it. We're saying, we like what you did, Copilot, coding agent, but we still want to make a change after that. And that's okay. You're going to have, I think that's the purpose, is that you're going to iterate on your code, and coding agent is there to provide that feedback, to make those changes based on your feedback so that it can update the code for you. And what that's going to do now, it's going to automatically now start a new session for us. So this was the commit that we just did for the initial plan from the issue that we first filed in that skills exercise. We viewed that session. It started at 8 minutes ago. Now we see this is the, we added this part, and now we've started a new session. And again, there's session 1. This is what we already had completed that it did for us. Hopefully, I know something that probably will be in the future will be maybe sharing sessions, so nothing has to be recreated or start everything all over again. And we can kind of take the benefit of, if you already started working on one, not to have to recreate the environment, that code space, and that we can just reuse it. So I would look for that in the future. So we're starting that. We can also see in our issue any updates here. So far, we have the one PR that we have open. We haven't created a new PR based on that. And again, we have the have trouble tips. If you're having an issue with anything, if you get feedback, if you don't get feedback, make sure you commit changes in the static directory. I don't think I actually did create that branch. Or actually, so that's a tip for me. Let's see here. And I'm going to go back one. So that's something that you may want to then change the name of the branch. Looks like it's happy with that though. We also can prepare. I'm going to go on to step 3 while that's working, just for the sake of time. But preparing your environment. So Copilot instructions provide a project-specific context for Copilot. So maybe there's a certain framework or a certain pattern that you want to use, or you want Copilot to take a lead off of. You can provide that. For business considerations, provide roles for guide Copilot, provide useful commands for common tasks. Also, our setup steps for the environment. You can enable model context protocol, the MCP server, like I said, and you can prepare that. So let's also create this branch. I don't think I created that when I did that before. That's okay. So we can come up here to our code. And I'll create this new branch. And I have that now ready to go for us. And I'm going to create to the Copilot instructions. I'm going to take just what's here, user, some additional information. Oh, this is the example one. So let's go to those instructions. We have an example of one that we can take here that's already here for us. And this is what's blank right now. So maybe I want to then look here. Please replace all the text with a link to the guide. So let's do that. And we'll add some additional information. I'll copy and paste. Obviously, you can put your own ones in here too. You can look at what's there in the example as well. We created that. And we can commit our changes to our branch. So let's say this. Added some helpful tips for Copilot to use. All right. And now we want to actually help Copilot to set up the environment properly. So in the prepare environment, we're still on that branch there. I'll take this and let me take the name of the file first, and then we'll come back for that in our workflow. So I can come here and go into workflows and add a file. We'll call it that. Again, take your time when you're walking through this. Obviously, I've done this several times. I still missed a branch, I think, along the way there. That's okay. But this is the action that would then set up the environment for Copilot to use. You're checking out the code. You're setting up Python, install these dependencies. So it's automatically there for Copilot to use in the environment. So I'll paste that. I think we can commit at that point. There's some nice, useful notes too along the way. Copilot will automatically revive the repository contents later. or provides early access during setup to install the dependencies. And then we can commit those changes to that branch. Oops. We'll commit that. And then let's see. We can also go back and look at our other issue, or other, make sure these changes were applied here. I would think by now they're probably close to being done. It needs my review. Yep, it looks like it made those changes for me. Updated the description. It did that for me. Here's the commit. I'll resolve that conversation. I'll review changes and approve. And ready for review. And we can merge that. We'll wait for this to refresh. We should be almost there, I think. I think there's some stuff left to do, but we're pretty much there. We followed our steps. We did in the prepare environment branch. We created this file. Let's see how the actions are doing behind the scenes. Let's see if there's anything we missed in the we merged. Oh, yeah, it might be because I missed that. I will jump since we're kind of running out of time, but just to show you the when it's all said and done, I'll go to my issue that I completed here. This was like adding dark mode and other things as a part of that exercise. If I was go to the closed issues, let's see. So we should see this passed. And then you can do some playtime where you assign. The other cool thing I guess I wanted to highlight before we kind of exit out here. Obviously, you can add issue templates, repeating tasks, try implementing 2 issues simultaneously. That's kind of what I wanted to show. It's pretty cool. So if there were issues created, so let's say we had multiple issues, which there should be more now. You can actually take these issues. I'll see what was assigned. Difficulty tracks and outdated docs. So let's do that. Let's take outdated docs and difficulty tracks. And then you can actually come up here. So like we did an example of assigning, creating the issue, assigning it to Copilot, but you could actually assign it to Copilot here. And then automatically it'll start working on those issues. So I wanted to show that. I know we're coming short on time. We have about a couple minutes. Is there any questions about this exercise? I highly recommend going through it. There's also a review at the end of here with some information about the different new features that are out, Copilot documentation, about coding agent, other courses like integrate MCP with Copilot, which Alec worked on, so you could take that as well. Enabling model context protocol, the MCP server as well. I think with that, let's animate. Let's put up a slide with the code. I think that's it's good timing for that. So here you are, folks. You have until, let me verify, but I believe you have until you have to the end of UTC. I think it's like tonight at 3:50 something UTC time to sign up for an exam. You do not have to take the exam then. You just have to sign up with this voucher code that gives you with that code gives you a reduced price. It's $17 for the foundations exam. That's a cheaper exam. It's $49.99 normally. The Actions, Administrator, Advanced Security, and Copilot are as a $35 cost. Usually is a $99. So you get a huge discount there. Let me just verify. That it is tonight, but I just want to make sure of that. But that voucher code, and I'll also talk through the codes valid, but I know there's something about both codes, just ignore that. So you apply the code at the very end. So basically when you're about to check out, there'll be an entry for a voucher code. Make sure it's all in caps. There's no spaces. There's a thing that says invitation code at the beginning. That's not where the code goes. So don't put it there. You're not going to get your discount. Wait till the very end when you check out. That's where you'll put the code in, and you should be, that should be good. But thank you guys so much for the time. I appreciate it. I will verify. Yeah, I think 3:59 tonight. Get your exam in, pass the code along. The PSI system is going away at the end of June. But thank you so much for your time, and enjoy GitHub Skills and learn about GitHub within GitHub. Thank you.